Okay. Good morning, friends. It's good to be here this morning with you. This is Journey Home Meditation, and this is our morning practice. We call it the morning sit. Today we're going to work through a little bit of shared breathing, maybe talk a little bit about some things that are surrounding that breath, things that the breath moves through and shakes loose like pollen from the flower. And we'll see what wants to grow out of that. I'm going to share some poetry today. It's a lovely, lovely spring day here in Southern Oregon, and I am just very grateful and excited and reverent and happy to be here on this cushion in this meditation hall and sharing this practice with you. So many of you. I want to say, if you are listening to this in podcast format, which is where I think most people are getting this practice, come over and check us out, journeyhomemeditation.substack.com. And it's free. You can subscribe there and you'll get notifications when we go live, and you'll have access to the archives, and you will get to see other offerings that I make here at the Substack. It's kind of become the home of Journey Home Meditation. So I wanted to just put that reminder out there to invite people over to journeyhomemeditation.substack.com. But I think we would do well this morning to just catch our breath. Let's just have a few moments together. Take this time to feel your body, see what your body is doing with the breath. So for myself, I'm feeling a lot happening right here in my chest. When I'm breathing, I feel a lot. When I'm breathing out, I feel I don't know if it's a hesitancy to release or if it's a soreness from so much releasing lately. The active work of letting go is very, very real and very physical, and it does put stress and strain on the body, and that's okay. And that's part of it. as we pry loose these things from the walls of our heart and our chest, um, there's a level of discomfort that is intrinsically involved. Um, so, because I'm recognizing this in myself, I'm going to focus on my out breath more than my in breath with my intentional breathing practice. I'm really going to put an effort into slowly releasing as much breath in my out breath in such a way that is calm and reverent to that breath, to what I am letting go. Marie Kondo was brought into the world spotlight a few years back on Netflix with her program Tidying Up, I think is what it was called, or maybe that's the name of the book. I have the book somewhere. Uh, but she's famous for teaching us how to declutter. And one of the major I don't like that word major. One of the central, there we go. One of the central aspects of her practice is to recognize the spiritual realities of our physical space. That there is really only the difference that we try to make of these things. Um, and that when we are letting go of things, that it's best to sit for a moment with gratitude and um, recognize the ways in which this thing, I'm throwing big air quotes for people on the podcast, um, gratitude for the ways in which this thing served us or not, and letting it go, saying thank you. And this practice in the physical world is another way to teach our bodies that and our minds that we can do this as well with what's inside of our bodies that we're letting go of. And I think it's really vital that we understand that discomfort is part of the gratitude. And it's hard to reckon that. Um, it's difficult to reckon that. But if you could give that an opportunity to be more than just pain, if you can see this opening that's forming as the gift, as the hands that are opening to provide, um, it can make this breathing practice go that much deeper into our bodies. So let's witness now as we can open our bodies. So breathing into the bottom of the belly through the nose, slowly and gently. We'll just do a few breaths together. And when we breathe out entirely. You can breathe out from the mouth or the nose, but be consciously aware of the gratitude that you hold for that breath as you give it back, as you let it go, as you release it back to where it's from. It's air in the world, it's breath in our bodies. Right? There's already transformation occurring when we transmute air into breath. We transmute what is ubiquitous into what is unique, what is life. And when we give that back, let's practice reverence this morning. Breathing in. and breathing out. And breathing in. And saying thank you. Hmm. Yep, that's the good stuff. I'm in a quiet space in this moment, which is odd. You don't have to say it. I know. But I think that uh, with all this practice of letting go, sometimes we can get into a practice of excavating, uh, where it's almost like we are trying to clean house, forcing these things away from us, forcing these things out of our bodies, forcing these thought forms out of our minds, forcing these beliefs out of our consciousness. You know, and in doing this, I think there's something vital that we forget. That, it's like the idea of coming in with a backhoe and just digging up the earth, or coming in with your hands and a small hand tool and taking your time to create the garden. You wouldn't use a backhoe to create a garden necessarily. You come in and you find what's in the soil. You look there. I don't want to extend the metaphor too much, but um, the idea wouldn't be to get rid of everything and replace it. The idea would be to come in and see how what we are made of is useful to us before we cast it away. And I had a conversation last night with a dear friend of mine who I haven't spoken with much in a long time. We've just got busy lives and we live in very separate places in the world. But every time we talk, it's like we are. I feel quite aligned with this person. I trust their mind. I trust not only the things that they think about and the depth to which they think, but the ways in which they think. I trust that they're not trying to get away with something or prove somebody wrong. I trust that they are exploring. And I was sharing how in my present time, the last few days, I've been actively able to confront a lot of these deeply held insecurities and voices of um, deep criticism that I carried my whole life. These things that give us what they call imposter syndrome now, or these voices that just kind of sneak in every once in a while. And like to gather all the evidence they can to prove to you why you are no good, why you are terrible, you're the worst. I'm sure some people listening may have some of those voices in their head sometimes. Well, I have a history of having that voice in my head a lot. Uh, but it's been really, really low, such a quiet voice for so long that I forget sometimes that it's there. I forget. And I thought that that was a good thing. I'm walking through life thinking, "Oh, I don't have that voice anymore. It's gone. This is great." But then it comes back. And something has to happen to open that doorway, but like once that doorway is open, it floods through. And I've been really just overtaken and overwhelmed with this deeply critical voice of pain and rejection and abandonment and all of these things that are not right in front of me. They are deeply coming out from within me. Yesterday, I talked about contraction and birthing, and that's what this is. This is coming up to the surface again. And this is exactly where I need to be. And I'm talking to my friend last night, and he wanted to explore the idea that what if that critical voice were not something that we need to get rid of? What if that critical voice were there for a reason and it was there to help us see something and see it through and to be a teacher to us? And we just have such a difficult time with criticism being equated to rejection that we vilify this voice. And if we can change our relationship to this voice and say thank you to this voice and say, okay, tell me more. Tell me more about why it is you think I shouldn't do this thing, or why it is you think I don't align with this thing that I'm doing. Tell me more. And it's not that we have to believe that voice, but being willing to listen and explore that voice, all of a sudden it doesn't get rid of the voice, but it transforms our relationship to it. And in that conversation with him, I started to see clearly what he was talking about and understand this. And it was revelatory to remember my own practice to love and to meet with kindness everything that arises, even the thing that tried to kill me. Wow. Wow. Looking back through my life, there was times I don't know how I got through or how I survived. I think I did it because I had a network of loving people who could hold that space for me as I collapsed into this battle with my fears and my insecurities. But to think that I could even find that voice that seems to be screaming in my head that I'm no good, that I'm unwanted, that I'm unlovable, and love that voice, this is this is rich. Because what is that voice except for a part of this life? What is that voice except for that which I should be experiencing right now? It's here to be experienced. Life is here to be experienced. The cold river is to be experienced as well. Jump in, you know? It's okay. So I listened to my friend, and last night I did some of the work, and this morning I've been doing a lot of the work of not excavating, but returning. And remembering that as I return, I'm actually not far away. I sat with my tree that's brought me through this spring, watching the cherry blossoms come and fall, and I sat and I looked on this tree, and I saw something there about place today, about being rooted into that soil and holding that place, but not rejecting change. There's this, seems like a dichotomy to be so still and so steadfast and held in your place, but to be so open to the shift and the change that is absolutely necessary. Not even necessary, it just is. It's not utilitarian. We don't live these lives of thinking. We don't have to think about everything as like, how can I use this? That can be helpful when we're coming out of a capitalist mindset, when we're coming out of the Protestant work ethic, when we're coming out of the colonization of our bodies and the naming of the ways in which we dance with the material of our lives as work. We do that. We name those things. We box ourselves into those things, and that can be okay for a moment. But we don't have to think about everything as having a use as much as everything has a place right there in its place. And I watch that tree as the cherry blossoms are gone and the weakened limbs that have been on for so long are starting to break down and fall off as the new limbs create more space for themselves. And I looked at the ground around it, and you could still see the remnants of some of the cherry blossom petals as they are shriveled and browned and devoid of that rich beauty that was there before, but they're still the petals. They're still there. You can hear the buzzing of the bees in the morning as the first sun is hitting the leaves. And I knew in that moment what it is to come back to place, to find your place. So let's find our place for just a moment. Seated with your body erect, your shoulders relaxed, your shoulder blades together just slightly in the back, leveling your chin to the earth, legs crossed in any number of comfortable positions, or maybe you're in a chair and your feet are flat to the floor, or you're lying down. Wherever you are in that body positioning, open yourself to breath and return to place. I think one of the things that I'm accustomed to doing, and I'm learning this, is when something starts to fall apart, I want to shift into fix it mode or go into that crisis diversion mode. And it's so odd to think that I spent so much time practicing dismantling things, taking it apart, tearing it apart, setting it afire. That now I have a difficult time as things start to collapse. There's a connection there. But I was reminded today that I need to give grace. I need to give grace. I need to allow for the world to show itself to me, not to go in with a headlamp and a pickaxe. And that was so helpful. It was so helpful to me. Um, and thinking about place, I'm thinking about um, my friend who she needs some alone space. That's where she finds her place in the world, and she's not getting that, and she's asking for that now in the world. She's creating those things, looking for that, and how that is grace. Like that is such a gift to everyone around her to be able to, you want to be with someone so much, the type of people that you just want to be around, because they're just giving. But even that giving needs its time, and it needs to not be what it does, but to be who it is. And then I think about Angela, who is standing in the grounds, the grounds where, you know her family, um, sort of was born and lived and died, and she's returning to that place, that sacred place. And as we come back to these sacred places, there's a lot of pain to get through sometimes. But my friend Christian told me, he said, maybe just listen. Maybe that's what it's for. We don't always have to get rid of everything. Maybe we can just let it leave on its own, but we have to step back and let things shift. All right. Are we ready for some bell hooks magic this morning? It's kind of late in the morning already. I'm droning on and on today. Let's see what bell hooks in her wonderfully oracular book, Appalachian Elegy, Poetry and Place. I forgot that that's what it's called. Yeah. Okay. Okay, bell hooks. I get it. Uh, we're on number 9 today in Appalachian Elegy. You can search this on the internet, Appalachian Elegy number 9, bell hooks, if you want to read along. Autumn ending, leaves like fallen soldiers, man-made hard hearts fighting battles on this once sacred ground. All killing done now. Dirt upon dirt covers all signs of death. Memory tamped down, ways to not remember. The disappeared, dying faces, longing to be seen. One lone warrior lives, comes home to the hills, seeking refuge, seeking a place to surrender, the ground where hope remains and souls surrender. Unreal. I'm thinking about, whether you're standing in that backyard where the animals that created a family are now buried, or you're seeking that refuge in the solace and solitude of your own existence, finding that solitude, or whether you're finding yourself in crumpled, anxiety filled panic where I can't catch my breath. Maybe you're tumbling through new experiences, seeking the ways in which we can connect our love in unorthodox ways, where we have been disallowed in the past by our own thought forms, or whether you're struggling with an identity crisis, not knowing how to find your place and seeking it in all of these other ways. Wherever you are right now, go with grace. Go with grace. Okay. I love you all so much. So much love for this world. It's really a beautiful experience to be able to open to loving everyone right now. Thanks for being here today. Um, Join the conversation if you'd like. You can do that through commenting on the Substack posts or the YouTube video. Um, you can do that by sharing this post through your networks, whether it's through email or social media, or just letting someone know that you think might appreciate coming into these practices. Um, and I am open to having people join and share these practices, uh, which is totally possible. I have many capabilities for having conversations on the broadcast or here at Journey Home Meditations physical space, the Beside in Cave Junction, Oregon. So come on down, have a seat in the meditation hall, and join the conversation. You are welcome to be here. Take care, everyone. Hariom.